it has been quite fascinating to watch how seriously people really are taking this. So of course you still get the holdouts and the folks that are going to defy evacuation orders, but I think this one has really resonated with people. There is so much kind of gasping and teeth sucking and marveling by meteorologists as to the scale and size and nature of this hurricane. So even if it loses some steam before it comes ashore, which it is predicted to do, it will still have a Category 5 level storm surge, and that is what terrifies people. You can weather the wind. It's not usually the wind that kills people and takes lives and homes so much as that water and that ocean surge, which is pushing ahead of it. So people have been evacuating. There's been a mass exodus from the coastal areas, and everybody kind of bunkering down inland and hoping that nobody stayed behind in a bad area.
What do you not want to hear about a hurricane heading towards you? Well, how about that it's getting stronger again? Hurricane Milton is back at Category 5 level. That's the highest level there is on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. Milton is headed for Florida, where the Times' Jacqui Goddard is waiting in a position of safety happily at the moment. But she's told us what it's like living there, the preparations and what might happen next.
Well, it feels a bit like being at the end of a bowling alley and waiting for this giant ball to kind of come and smack you at the end of it all. Hurricane Milton is still 400 miles southwest of Florida, bowling across the Gulf of Mexico as a Category 5 hurricane with top wind speeds currently of 165 miles an hour. It's been going through various cycles where it kind of grows bigger and then its eye collapses and shrinks and morphs into a whole new eye. So it's a very fascinating process, but with every time that happens, the storm widens. So at the moment, the fear is that its kind of lateral reach across Florida is going to be pretty impactful. But of course, most of all, the worry is that ocean surge of up to 15, 20 feet coming in on the Gulf Coast and overwashing cities.
And how has the prognosis for cities like Tampa changed over the last 24 hours? Are we still staring at a worst case scenario?
That's an interesting question because these things are very unpredictable and each hurricane has its own characteristic, and Milton's is one that it's somewhat unpredictable. It's been doing a little bit of wobbling. It's now back on course, on its predicted course, and possibly heading for Tampa Bay or striking just south of Tampa Bay. And if it does that, if it comes south, it saves Tampa Bay something of the impact, or because of the way that the storm rotates and the way that the ocean surge would rush in to the city. So if it goes south, it's good for Tampa Bay, but then it's bad for areas like Sarasota and Fort Myers, which have been knocked about badly just in the last couple of years with Hurricane Ian a couple of years ago. So it's anybody's guess, but that storm path narrows down the closer we get to landfall, which is overnight on tonight, Wednesday.
And give us a sense, because we often hear about stories of hurricanes. You live in a part of the world which gets hurricanes all of the time. Tell us about how people are treating this one differently. I mean, there's not been this scale of evacuation, has there, in recent times?
No, the most recent was 2017. There was a pretty big evacuation back then for a storm. And it has been quite fascinating to watch how seriously people really are taking this. So, of course, you still get the holdouts and the folks that are going to defy evacuation orders. But I think this one has really resonated with people. There is so much kind of gasping and teeth sucking and marveling by meteorologists as to the scale and size and nature of this hurricane. So even if it loses some steam before it comes ashore, which it is predicted to do, it will still have a Category 5 level storm surge, and that is what terrifies people. You can weather the wind. It's not usually the wind that kills people and takes lives and homes so much as that water and that ocean surge, which is pushing ahead of it. So people have been evacuating. There's been a mass exodus from the coastal areas, and everybody kind of bunkering down inland and hoping that nobody stayed behind in a bad area.
Tell us the psychology of people who stay behind them. Is that because they don't believe what the government says? Is it because they're so attached to their property that they kind of feel they have to stay with it?
all of those things. I can give you an example of one gentleman who is on his boat in Tampa Bay Harbor at the moment, saying he's put his faith in God. God told him to come and get on a boat, so he's going to go and stay on his boat and ride it out. That's not going to be a good idea for that gentleman there. And then you're right, there is an element as well of people who, your home is your home. You want to be with it through, come hell or literally high water. And people have pets, they have kids, they have things that they're attached to. They might not have a car and feel that they can't get out. I have to say there is a lot of help. There are free Uber rides. There are shelters in every community where you can go for free. There is gas when petrol is running out at petrol stations along the evacuation routes. The governor has police escorts to bring in to escort tankers swiftly to these petrol stations and ensure that people can keep evacuating. So there has been a lot of help given. There should be no reason why nobody can't evacuate if they're in one of those evacuation zones, which are the flood-prone low-lying zones, but there will always be some that do. But this has been taken seriously. There is a real mentality of let's just get out.
And just finally, Jacqui, you're not going to be in you're not going to be in Tampa when the storm hits, because obviously for what you've just been saying, you're too sensible for that. Where you are in Florida, do you get the backwash of it? How concerned are you for where you are?
Yeah, I'm in an area where we'll get tropical storm force winds. I'm in Broward County, which is to the southeast of Lake Okeechobee, which is a big chunk of water right in the middle of southern Florida. So we're over the kind of better side. In fact, if there's anywhere in Florida to be, one might wish they were here right now because you're going to get less of an impact. But at the moment, that storm's wobbling. So if it comes in a more southerly angle along the Gulf Coast, we get that southeastern side of the storm here. And then after the storm has passed through, yes, I'll be moving into the areas most impacted and to tell people's stories. And I think it's important that people don't just see that hurricane after hurricane. We kind of get weary of pictures of people, weeping over their lost homes and lost possessions. This really is a very consequential storm. And I think the pattern that we're seeing, if one believes in science, as we all should, one can see that there is an alarming pattern of not more hurricanes occurring, but more major hurricanes occurring.
That's Jacqui Goddard, who's based in Florida at the time, and she was saying she's out of where the current storm is heading, but close by. And, tomorrow we'll speak to her. There should have been landfall by this time tomorrow, more or less, I think. And so she'll be reporting from the scene. Then she's going to go into Tampa and see what is left of it. But if it is a Storm 5 strike, that is what happened with Katrina. So the scale of it is absolutely colossal and worth keeping all our collective eyes on.